In an already overcrowded world of running shoes, it takes something special to be able to start a company and really put your heart and soul into a shoe. But that's exactly what Speedberry is doing. Meet the Speedberry Trainer. What's up everybody, I'm Eric McIntyre, aka Rad Dad Bod, and you're watching Rad Dad Bod TV, where we review running shoes. Today we're talking about the Speedberry Trainer. But if it's your first time watching one of my videos, you may notice some timestamps below. Feel free to click around and jump to the various parts of the review. But if you do so, I would sure appreciate if you come back and watch the full thing when you get a sec, because I put a lot of time and effort into these videos. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. I typically release 3 videos a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But to start the year, I've got a big backlog and there's a lot of releases coming this spring. So for the time being, we're actually doing pretty much daily videos. Now, before we dive into the specs and intended use and just the review as a whole, let's just talk some disclaimers and disclosures, which are that I was provided the shoe directly from Speedberry. I had a chance to speak with their owner, Patrick, and he did send me these shoes, though I'm not being paid, nor was I given any specific content expectations, instructions, talking points, none of that. No one watched the video beforehand. All thoughts are entirely my own. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about the intended use of the shoe. The Speedberry Trainer is pretty much a standard daily trainer, potentially a little bit in that lightweight or up-tempo daily trainer category. So for the most part, it's supposed to be used for daily miles, long runs, easy runs, and if you want to get the occasional workout in the shoe, it is also okay in that sense. It's not a shoe that's going to necessarily shine in any one particular area. It is meant to handle a little bit of everything, as that is a daily trainer. As such, that's how we're going to be evaluating the shoe. Now, from a price perspective, the shoe comes in at $150, which is around that normal price range for either a daily trainer or a lightweight daily trainer. So very, very fairly priced for the most part. And then from the specs perspective, what we're looking at here is it is 8.1 ounces, so it is on the lighter end of shoes, and it comes in at 30 millimeters in the heel and 20 millimeters in the forefoot for a 10 millimeter heel to toe drop. So you do have a fairly aggressive drop there. And again, it is a slightly lower stack shoe by today's standards. Now, the fit of the shoe is long. So in talking with their owner, Patrick, he did recommend that I half size down. So I ordered a size 10 as opposed to my normal 10.5, and it does fit great on the length. On top of that, I would say that the shoe fits fairly accommodating throughout. It's a little bit more standard in the midfoot, but you've got a fairly wide toe box with plenty of room to splay. And the upper itself, I would say, is like voluminous. So you do have a lot of extra room in the upper. It doesn't cause any bunching, things like that, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But this is an accommodating shoe, not a full wide shoe. I would just say on the wider end of standard. Now, moving to the upper, you basically just have a lightweight mesh upper. You stick your hand in there and you can see pretty much everything. I can see through the shoe right now and I'm looking at the camera. So it is very much a mesh upper, and you've kind of got a dual layer mesh. But this shoe, one of the things that they really wanted to do was make it as light as possible without sacrificing any structural integrity, and I feel like they did a really good job of that. So you have the mesh upper, it's dual layer, and then you have these TPU overlays throughout to kind of reinforce, and then a more structured heel cup. So you do have structure here. This isn't just gonna collapse on you, right? You have that heel cup where you're gonna sit nicely, and then you have some strategic cushioning there in the heel as well that keeps your heel nice and locked in place. As you can expect, the shoe is very breathable. In fact, I took it out for a run the other day in the cold and my feet were very cold. So maybe not your go-to winter running shoe depending on where you live, but definitely was gonna feel really, really nice in the summer as the miles heat up. The tongue is still that mesh material, but it has a little bit more filling, a little bit more cushion. It is still what I would consider a pretty minimal lightweight tongue, but it's not just kind of that one slab or one like thin piece of material that you're seeing a lot of times with that synthetic material. It is very much still that mesh, and it is not gusseted. So that is something to kind of consider. That is a little bit annoying. I think that everything should be fully gusseted in my mind, but I didn't find that the tongue was really sliding around too much when I was running in the actual shoe. Speaking of sliding around, when it comes to the lockdown, there is a little bit of nuance here. So you kind of have these lock fit laces, which are some of my favorite types of laces, both visually as well as functionally. So these little ridges on the laces, what they kind of do is they prevent the laces from slipping through the shoe. And then the way that the lace configuration and eyelets work, same thing. So this is not a shoe that you want to just pull here at the top and like cinch down everything. You kind of have to go through and find your custom fit. And Patrick is the one who actually suggested that. So you kind of adjust the different areas that you want and the laces should stay put. And then you can kind of find your lockdown, find your fit. I didn't find that I was really slipping around in the shoe. I will be honest though, that was a little bit, not necessarily annoying, but difficult to kind of nail down with my fit to get my right lockdown. But once I kind of figured that out, it was totally fine. So I like the convenience of just being able to cinch down, especially because a lot of times I'm in a hurry to get out the door. But I do like that there was some special attention paid to the laces and lacing system, because that's oftentimes an overlooked aspect of a shoe. But with the upper being so minimal, so lightweight, what's really, really nice is there wasn't really a lot of opportunity for like chafing or discomfort. The upper did its job, and you just have to really find your lockdown. And once you're there, you're good to go. Moving to the midsole, this is an aphylactic ETPU midsole. Essentially, it's kind of that beaded foam that you'll see in some shoes, and ETPU is becoming increasingly more popular on the running shoe market. Now, like I said, it's not a super high stack shoe. You have 30 in the heel and 20 in the forefoot. Typically, when I hear 20 in the forefoot, I imagine that's going to have a lot of ground feel compared to a lot of shoes nowadays. But that ETPU is really, really resilient. And it makes the shoe feel like it is higher stack than it really is. So you kind of get the best of both worlds in terms of that like underfoot feel, while not having to be super, super high stack, which gives it some good stability. So I'm not going to say it's the most stable shoe on the market, especially with the 10mm heel to toe drop. I think depending on what your foot strike is, this could come off as a little bit unstable, but for the most part, it's nice. You're kind of low to the ground. It's got a nice flat base, and so it's really going to keep you fairly locked in, moving straight and not rolling too much from one side to the other. Now, 10mm drop obviously is aggressive. You know, Nike is up there, Salomon's up there, Brooks, certain Brooks models, more their classic lineup, they're up there in that 10mm drop. So I don't think that's going to be for everyone, right? If you're a heel striker, especially with this having a slightly lower overall stack, I don't think this is going to be the shoe for you. This is going to be the shoe that, you know, I think midfoot and forefoot strikers are going to enjoy a little bit more just because of that overall geometry and setup. So something to consider. The other thing that gives this shoe some really decent stability and structure is there is actually a carbon fiber shank. So it's really just like basically what you see here through the outsole or through the midsole. It's really just about that big. So it's not a full carbon fiber plate. It doesn't quite have the same overall effect in terms of like rigidity and stiffness. You can see I can bend the shoe totally fine, right? What that shank is doing though is it gives the foam itself an overall structure, makes it a little bit more in control basically, and that's actually the function of a carbon fiber plate as well. As you get these really bouncy squishy foams, you stick a carbon fiber plate in there. It's not that it gives you the snap, like it's not the snap of the shoe that necessarily is propelling you forward. It's more so that it allows the foam to react in a certain way that will propel you forward. So same general idea, just gives the foam a little bit more stability, the shoe a little bit more stability as well. Now from a pace versatility standpoint, the shoe's really solid. I mean, I ran in it from like easy runs, recovery runs, standard, daily, like steady miles, as well as long runs. Done a little bit of everything in the shoe, done some strides as well, some pickups just to get the general feel of how fast this can go. And it fits well in that lightweight trainer category. I will say it probably more for those daily miles than those workouts, which is what the shoe is designed for, right? It's not like you're going to use this as your go-to workout shoe, but if you don't have your workout shoe on you, this can kind of give you that additional uptick in pace that you might not get from every standard daily trainer on the market today. So I would say it's fairly pace versatile, and it could be a really good option kind of in that 1 to 2 shoe rotation where you're looking for a little bit of extra versatility out of each pair in that rotation. From an outsole perspective, they really didn't complicate this much. You just have one piece you can see there, and it's somewhat of a minimal rubber with a little bit of, I believe that's a herringbone pattern, right? So as far as durability goes, it's holding up pretty good. There is a little bit of kind of rubbing or kind of wear and tear on the lateral side or the lateral heel there. Especially with it being 10mm drop, I'm probably on my heels a little bit more than I normally would be in something like more of a mid or low drop. It did its job. It got the job done for the most part. I wore these on the treadmill a couple of times, wore these outside, and I will say it's not the best traction I've ever tried. I did slip a little bit. My treadmill is actually a really good slip test for me. And it was a little bit slick, so it wasn't my favorite thing to run with these on the treadmill. But so long as you're on the road where you can get a little bit more traction, these do totally fine. In the rain or with wet road or kind of some ice left on the road here in the wintertime, a little bit of slippage, but nothing where I felt like I was particularly in danger or anything like that. So I would say The grip could use a little bit of improvement from that traction standpoint, but overall gets the job done, and you do have that full coverage, which is going to help as well. Now, as far as who's the shoe for, it's really for kind of those who are looking for a daily trainer with a little bit of that pace versatility. For those who, you know, don't want what kind of everything is becoming now is like that high stack, hyper cushion daily trainer. If you're looking for something that is more of a classical trainer or even a classic race flats type setup, this is really where you should be looking. And at that 150 price point, it's a really, really good option, especially if you grew up running in higher drop shoes. A lot of brands are shifting to lower drops. And so that's another place where if you want something with that higher drop, that's just what you're used to. You're used to running on the balls of your feet. You're used to running on kind of the forward midfoot, then this is going to feel very, very comfortable for you. And I do think, even though I don't have like that many overall miles on the shoe, I think I'm in the 30, like low 30s to mid 30 range. I don't think these are going to break down super easy. The foam seems to be really, really solid. And I think that that's why a lot of people are moving actually away from like PIBA style foams and moving to ETPUs, because they're supposedly supposed to be more durable, right? So you're going to get a lot more miles in the shoe. And I think that if anything were to break down in the shoe, I think it would be the upper first, just because it is minimal. And if you obviously snag that on something, then it could tear through. So I think this is a really good kind of classic running shoe. Maybe people who are returning to running, having run track and cross country earlier in their lives, who they like. This is going to be a more familiar overall sensation. Really, really good option for those types of people. Not like a walking around shoe, really, right? 10mm drop, carbon fiber shank. Like, this is a shoe built for performance, not to walk around casually in. Now, just some final thoughts on the shoe. Overall, I was really, really impressed. Speedberry might be the smallest brand in the country right now, right? It's Patrick, and I think he has maybe one or two others who are working with him to get these shoes made and shipped out. And they pretty much sell out every time that they put in orders, right? And so people seem to be really, really happy with the shoes. And I was really, really impressed with this being like the first shoe that they have ever put out. They are working on, from what I understand, a racing shoe, and they're just trying to get it right before it releases. And so I'm excited to see what the brand continues to do. And if, frankly, like a small brand like this can compete with the big giants out there. We've seen an increasing number, which is really surprising to me, but an increasing number of new brands kind of start to pop up. And it's really, really cool, because I do think that that's going to push the boundaries of innovation. It's going to force the big guys to really start to listen to the consumer, right? Big guys aren't going to be quite as flexible as mobile, while with a brand like Speedberry, they can take a lot of feedback and go produce a shoe at a lower overall volume. So we'll be really curious to see where they go. But I was really, really impressed, not just with the shoe, but with the brand and the personnel. Patrick's doing a phenomenal job. And I'm excited to see what people think about this. So where can you find this? Again, I'm not paid at all. Like, I don't have an affiliate link, nothing like that. I was just genuinely curious to try the shoe because I love running shoes and I think it's really cool. Would love to maybe own my own running shoe brand someday. And so I'm inspired by what they're doing. But go check them out on Instagram and other socials. Speedberry, this is the Speedberry Trainer. And if you want to snag a pair, go to speedberry.run online and you should be able to find them on their next drop. I'm not sure if they're currently in stock, but I know Patrick's working hard to make sure that the online store is ready and available for purchase. So there we go. That's my review of the Speedberry Trainer. Now, if you guys have any questions, as always, drop them down in the comments. Please leave me a like if you've watched this far. And as always, if you haven't already hit the subscribe button and enabled notifications, do so now. And just to wrap us up, I'll leave you with a question, which is, what new brand or upcoming shoe brand are you most excited for in 2025? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks, everybody.